Hey guys, what's going on? This is the first episode of our Disney Memories. This is where I've been asking you at the beginning of long videos to send me your times in the parks. And if you've never been, to ask me a question. And I think I've gotten enough to make a full length video. And I really can't thank everyone enough for the support, the likes, the subs. I never thought anyone would ever want to hear anything I ever had to say, let alone stuff about the parks. So thank you. Thank you so much. Uh, Before we get started, I need to apologize for two things. One, I am not a great talker, and this series is all unscripted, besides me reading comments. So I apologize in advance for the ums and the pauses, but I'll do my best to kind of edit it out and self edit. The second thing I need to apologize for is that during my Frozen versus Maelstrom episode, I called Anna. And my girlfriend's daughter pointed that out. She sent me a lengthy voice text telling me how wrong I was, and she's right. Here at Chicken Incorporated, we admit our mistakes and we move on. That's what we do. So, before we get into everything, I just want to tell a quick story, my Disney memory, that'll tie into the first two comments that I got. So I touched on this on a couple different videos that I talk about that I was afraid of everything when I was going to Disney parks when I was little. I don't think I went on Splash Mountain until I was in my 30s. So that should give you an idea of how afraid I was of everything. So with that being said, the only ride I could not get out of was the Haunted Mansion. And my family was weird, and instead of going left. I'm dyslexic, so left would be towards Adventureland. Uh, Normally people would go either left towards Adventureland and hit like Jungle Cruise first, or you go right towards Tomorrowland and you do Delta Dream Flight there at the time, or Space Mountain, whatever. My family instead decided to go straight through the castle and turn left. So for those who, so for those of you who know, when you go left, you go towards Peter Pan and you go towards Small World. Now, Peter Pan is usually an hour wait, at least, and my family was not waiting an hour for Peter Pan, at least then. Or we go in Small World. So we did Small World, and then the next thing we do was eat because my mom wouldn't get up and we'd have to eat lunch at the parks. So we ate lunch at the Columbia Harbor House, and for anyone who's ever been, you know right across the street from the Columbia Harbor House is the Haunted Mansion. So I would get my fried shrimp and french fries and my chocolate milk with my green Mickey Crazy straw. And I would sit there in just utter fear that I would have to go on the Haunted Mansion next. So once we finished lunch, I'd get online and we get on the Doom buggies. And I think now it's the portraits in that first scene where like the lightning strikes and like you see the Medusa lady and stuff like that. Back then, it was paintings of different monsters or people that look like monsters, and their eyes would follow you. And the vampire would always freak me out. And then we'd get to the graveyard scene, and I know for a fact in my head that the screams that are there now are so much louder then because you could barely hear it now. And that would scare the heck out of me every time. And my parents, being the great parents that they are, at the end with the hitchhiking ghost, they would always make a joke saying, "Oh, a ghost is gonna follow us home. Make sure you look out for the ghost when we get home." So I would spend the rest of the day at the park until we got home, terrified that once we got back to the timeshare, that there would be a ghost when I went to sleep. So there would be no sleep until the next day, and it was terrifying. But that's what happens when you're a kid. That's what happens when you go to Disney World. So I tell that story to tell these two stories, and the first one comes from Lug Scanlon. I hope I'm saying that correctly. They say, as a child, Dreamfinder scared the absolute word I can't say out of me, and I personally don't see it. I get it, and as someone who is afraid of everything, I could honestly say Dreamfinder was not one of the things that scared me, but I am in no position to judge anyone when it comes to what they're scared of. Because I didn't even go on Maelstrom for the most part. Uh, and I barely wanted to go on Pirates for the drops. But I guess now that I think about it, Dreamfinder is a little creepy. He kind of gives off like weird stranger vibes with the beard and the hat and the here look at my figment. That's a little weird, I guess, in retrospect. So yeah, I guess I can't really I guess I really can't make fun of that. Let's see. Our next fear-based comment comes from Blatman, and they say, "Adventure through inner space used to frighten me. As I got older, I liked it, and now it's Star Tours." And that is probably the most frightening thing, because as a Disney fan, as anyone who grew up in the parks knew, everything you love will eventually become a Disney IP. That's just the fact of life for us. But anyway, Adventures Through Inner Space was in California, I believe. And I believe it was built in like the 60s or the 70s. And you would wait online, and the draw was there was a giant microscope. And you would go through this microscope, and it would be like you got shrunken down so you could go through inner space, space around us. So you would go through dust molecules, water molecules, stuff like that. And that's something I probably would have loved also, and also been equal parts terrified from. Because I love slow moving educational dark rides like Epcot. You hear me talk about Epcot all the time. Someone called me out on my top 10 list for most of it being Epcot. I apologize, I have a bias. But with that being said, yeah, I could see that being absolutely terrifying. I would not want to be, or at least thinking I would get shrunken down, and the possibility of it not working and me staying small forever. I was already small when I was little. I didn't need to get shrunken down even more. But yeah, I could see how that would be terrifying to anybody. And that's kind of similar to my Haunted Mansion story. I was terrified of Haunted Mansion as a kid, and then I grew to like it. So yeah, I could definitely empathize with that comment. And it just sucks that we can't ride the rides that we grew up on. So this next comment comes from Blair, and he says, "What does the background of Epcot mean, and what does it represent?" So I think what he means is the history of Epcot, and when I talk about Disney purists and how they hate Disney IPs. But before we get to that, we'll talk about that it's supposed to be the original idea was supposed to be a self-sufficient town. So you were guaranteed employment. If you needed something, the town would take care of it. There would be transportation provided for you, stuff like that. Once Walt died, the idea came to make it a theme park. And the idea for that theme park was supposed to be a perpetual World's Fair where they would have the best of innovations. And that's where you get the World Showcase from to show off all the countries. So there wasn't supposed to be any, like I said, Disney IP. So no Frozen like we have, no Nemo, no Three Caballeros, stuff like that. And Disney purists get really angry because they say it was Walt's idea. But Walt was dead before the concept of this park was even taking place. It was supposed to be something completely different. Unless I'm mistaken, someone could point that out to me in the comments. But yeah, so basically what it represents is education. Education through rides that we don't have anymore. And I'm not someone who's going to sit here and be like, finger wagging, there's Frozen in Epcot. I don't really care about that. At the end of the day, education doesn't really sell anymore. It's all about, pandering to children and stuff like that. And I get it. You got to make money. And if I'm a kid, am I going to sit there and want to watch like the history of Norway, or am I going to want to watch Frozen? Am I going to want to see my favorite cartoon play out in front of me? So I get it from that standpoint. If you have a different view, I get your view also. 1980s, early 90s Epcot is my favorite theme park ever. So Blair's second comment is about 4 paragraphs long, and I am not exaggerating. But I won't get into the whole thing, but I will give you the Cliff Notes version of it. Basically, he says he's never actually been to Disney proper, but when he was a Marine, he went to the Rainforest Cafe with 4 other of his Marine buddies, and one of the friends' girlfriend got in trouble after having a little too much to drink, and she apparently took off her shirt and was yelling at the table next to her. So uh, I've I've never gotten drunk in Disney. I think I've only had one alcoholic drink in Disney. Walking in the heat is not something I want to do ever. So I guess if you're going out to dinner, it's a little different. If you're not going to the parks, if you're just going to drink, I guess that's fine. But yeah, things could go south really quickly when you mix Disney parks and alcohol. Uh, I do have a story not about the Rainforest Cafe, but something similar. The T Rex, which is basically Rainforest Cafe but with dinosaurs. And if it sounds awesome to you, it is. And obviously, the food isn't supposed to be amazing, but the portobello raviolis in lobster sauce are amazing, and I love them so much. But the issue is that the lobster sauce is a heavy cream base, and I am lactose intolerant. So every time I go to T Rex, I need to have that, and every time I do, it is not a good night. It is I just have to pray I get back to the hotel room in time, or else I'm going to be in a lot of pain. And we have our last two comments by the same person, Charles L. The first one says, "Will I be covering any parks other than Disney World?" And I've never been to any other park besides Disney World. If I ever go, I will definitely make a video about my time, about the rides there. But in the foreseeable future, it doesn't look like it's going to happen. So if you're a fan of Disneyland, Hong Kong Disney, Tokyo Disney, unfortunately, those aren't coming anytime soon. If I ever get money, I will go and I will make videos. But as of now, it's just going to be strictly Disney World. And Charles's second comment is, "Do you think they will add to the Frozen attractions as more movies come out?" That's a good question. I don't think so. Usually, that's not what Disney does, unless you're Toy Story, where they have the Slinky Dog Dash, Midway Mania, Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin. I think Frozen Ever After is pretty much what we're gonna get. Will they change it down the line as more sequels come out? Maybe, but I doubt it. I mean, there's gonna be refurbishments. They're probably gonna add certain things. I don't know if we get like a huge overhaul. Um, Maybe in Magic Kingdom down the line, we might get one to add to the already crowded Fantasyland, but I don't see anything like that happening in the near future. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that there is a fifth Disney Gate on the way, or at least in the works. I don't know if that's true or not. I may be making that up, but I'm pretty sure I read something like that. So I guess you could see a Frozen attraction there, maybe like a completely different Frozen attraction in California or something. But I don't really know. I really don't know the popularity of Frozen as a whole now anymore. Like, is it still as popular? I mean, I'm sure it's popular, but I don't know if it's like the mania that we had back in the day. Okay, I think that does it for the comments that I think fit the criteria. And if you want your comment read, just leave one underneath. Let me know one of your Disney memories. Ask me a question. And I honestly can't thank you guys enough. Like I said before, the support has been overwhelming. For me not being doing this that long. It may not be impressive numbers to some people. It's impressive to me because I never thought one person would want to hear what I say. So I am honestly blown away and so grateful for you guys. Uh, Honestly, from the bottom of my heart. I know I said that before, but I can't state that enough. I hear some YouTubers say that, and it never feels genuine. And I don't know how to make it sound genuine, but I want to let you know that it is genuine. But yeah, let me know if you want to hear more of this. If not, I understand. But let me know what you want to hear more of. If you have any video ideas, let me know in the comments. And like I always say when I sign off, thank you so very much for watching.